Hello, welcome to this session for Faculty of Science and Engineering second years. Thank you for coming along. What we're hoping to take you through this morning is some inspiration for what you can achieve in your second year. We've been having this discussion with everybody within the faculty, and we are hoping to guide you through things which will help you boost your CV and ways in which to engage with the employers who you will find on our virtual campus this year. We've also got a short video to take you through of somebody who has been in your position, who has some advice on what to do when you're an FSE student in second year and some of the things you can engage with. We've also got various resources which we'll be pointing you towards, as well as ways in which you can access some of our previous sessions, some of the other things which we've run through careers this semester already. So if you've got questions, please throw them in as we go along, and we will try to address those along the way. In terms of who you've got here with you this morning, my name is Ben Carter. I am one of the careers consultants for the faculty, and with me is Penny Gordon-Lanes, my colleague. We are not the only consultants within the Faculty of Science and Engineering. You'll also see up on screen here Helen Frost, who is also part of our team. And there is also a much wider careers team as well. So if there are others that you wish to engage with, then you can find a number of us through the Careers Service online portal. It's called Careers Link. And as a general resource, if you were to go to www.manchester.ac.uk/careers, you will find all of our stuff there. And if you go to /careers link, that is where you'll find our booking systems. We'll return to that stuff later. There's other ways you can engage with us as well. I thoroughly recommend you reach out to us on social media. We all have LinkedIn profiles. We evangelize a lot about LinkedIn and the benefit of it. We think it's a great resource. So if there are ways in which you want to reach out to us, then please make that the first one. We're also available on Facebook. You can find us all on there. We all have relevant Facebook feeds where we post interesting events, where we post articles as we find them. There is also, in all likelihood, a Facebook group, a careers Facebook group for your department. So do take a look online, search for University of Manchester, the name of your department, and the words careers group. And that will just allow you to access us in a different way. We tend to post in those groups, again, when we find more careers-focused stuff for a particular department. So do come find us there as well. Is it really that, the more ways you can reach out to us, the more resource you'll be able to find. And we're going to introduce just a few of the other ways in which you can find our material as we go through the next 40 minutes or so. If you've never met us before, then it's important to be aware that there are a few things you may want to know about the Careers Service, and one is that it's very popular, and that's not just with our students, that's also with the employers out there. We're very pleased that every year we receive the accolade of being the most targeted university by top graduate employers. There's a survey that goes around every year from a group called High Flyers, and we are consistently at the top of that list. That's to your benefit because it means you just get a wider range of interesting names to engage with. It's helpful for us as well because it means that we can, I suppose, get the best information from those employers. And we have an entire team within Careers who deal with that employer-facing side of things. And that information all comes through to us as careers consultants. It's also interesting that last year we were named as the top university in the UK for graduate employability through the Times Higher Education. And that was particularly satisfying because they were impressed by such things as the Stellify program, which you may have already engaged with, but if you haven't, it's starting to become the mark of quality in terms of what you're taking away from Manchester by way of your skills development. So if you want to get involved with that, then there's some great material out there. I know the university has already posted some videos on Facebook around what the Stellify Award is and how you can engage with it. So you go take a look at the university pages for Stellify, and they'll tell you how you can build up the volunteering, the leadership roles, and engaging with some of the events which they run in order for you to achieve this award. In terms of what else we can offer you from careers, our careers consultants come from a variety of different backgrounds. If you've got specific questions around different career directions, then please bring them in. There is this kind of myth that you have to already know what your path is before you can come to the career service, and that is simply not true. It's a discussion we have many times over the course of people's university lives, all the way from first year right the way through until I've met people in the graduation robes, like these folks on screen here, who have come in asking, like, what should I be doing with myself? It is a regular question for us, so please do not be afraid to engage if you've got if you're worried about where your degree can take you. It is something we can help you try and discover. If, however, you've already got directions in mind, that's great. And some of the stuff which we do on a regular basis, we look at applications, we check over documents, we try to provide insight into what the assessment process is like. So if any of that is worrying you, be that writing a CV or attending a video interview, going to an assessment center, probably virtually at the moment, but they're still taking place. If it's things like postgraduate study, then I'll show you where to find all the relevant resources for this in just a second, but these are all things which we get involved with, so don't feel overwhelmed, do not panic, it's what we're here for. In terms of, I guess, some of the things or some of the people that you'll engage with, as I said, those relationships with employers go deep, and that can be large multinationals, it can be large graduate employers, it can be small groups as well. And one of the things I recommend as an approach is don't feel like you have to go for the big name. It is perfectly fine to seek out smaller employers, and you may be asking, well, okay, how do I find them? Well, it's a question of tracking down directories. It's finding local companies of a particular size, and you're making sure they still fit your interests. But don't be afraid to seek them out. Give them a call, send them an email, asking them, are you in the market for a second year engineering student or something similar? And just ask them if they're open to having someone along for an internship, a graduate job, whatever it may be. There's an expectation that you will do some of the legwork here in order to make sure they know you're out there and that you're looking for opportunities. But it doesn't have to be all about the household names here. If you would like to go into business for yourself, then there are resources we can definitely help you with there as well. And we've linked on screen here to the Masood Entrepreneurship Center, and we will return to them later in terms of some of the resources they offer, but that is one of the principal portals for University of Manchester students. Now, don't be put off by the idea that it's part of the business school. It is there to help all students at the university. In terms of some of those resources I mentioned and what you will find there, the Career Service website, as I said, is one of our principal portals for this stuff, and you'll see on screen there it's broken down into a few different tabs across the top. And based on what you may be looking for, we kind of hope that this will be your first port of call. And this, as you go into your second year, is really one of your principal opportunities, particularly if this is the second out of 3 years for you, because you will find that you are now at your most eligible for building up experience as part of your degree. Now, there's lots of different ways you can do that, but some of the most formal ways of doing this through work experience, for example, often get presented to those in their penultimate year of study. And that's all of you, for those of you in the second out of 3 years. Those of you who are maybe taking a 4-year integrated master's degree, you might have to wait slightly longer before you're in that position, but that doesn't mean you can't still seek out these opportunities. How are you going to do that? As we go across those tabs there on the career service page, which career will allow you to explore different resources for different career directions. If you're looking for a sense of what does it involve, what do different science and engineering opportunities offer me, then the pages you will find there will take you through various different types of role and what's involved with them. If you're looking to build your experience in the workplace, then that jobs and experience tab is split up into various sections to try and help you find the thing which works best for you. Applications and interviews is exactly how it sounds. If you're worried about the assessment process, want to get things off the ground, either write your first CV or brush up on things like psychometric tests, then we have the resources to help you there. If you are worrying about things like I mentioned before, applying for further study in a year's time, then that's something we help with too. It's not all about the jobs. Really, our purpose at Careers is to help you prepare for whatever it is you have in mind after Manchester. And I should point out that even once you graduated, we can help you with that as well, because you have access to the career service here for 2 years after you graduate. And we would really hope that by the time those 2 years is up, you'll have found that thing and you're well on your way to establishing yourself careers-wise. So you won't need our services after then, all being well. What else? If you are an international student or you have aspirations to work internationally, then that international tab there will find you the things you need there. Now, that could be either working in the UK after graduation, or it could be resources to actually work in different countries. That you'll find within that fourth tab. There's also then breakdowns for how you can access our service, the different ways in which you can book an appointment, and some of the events which we run. We run an awful lot of events, as you will discover. And then finally, that link for careers link. So our main booking resource, be that for booking an appointment to see somebody, checking in for one of our events, or finding vacancies. That the fact that we are targeted by so many employers means we have the luxury of being able to maintain a vacancies database. The stuff that's sent to us direct, in some cases, specifically for University of Manchester students. So all of our vacancies you will find there within Careers Link as well. So please access that as you will. You'll find that the events page will take you through both the workshops that we run at Careers, but also the employer-led events. And this is one of your big opportunities to network with employers, is we get a lot of them coming to us to run their own events, to showcase what they've got to offer. So that's all stuff you can access as well. Now, this is all stuff that we can offer you, but what I'd also like to lay out is a few ways in which you can pursue this stuff. And that goes around three of the kind of the core career mantras we've set up for this year, which is to be curious, be connected, and be courageous. Now, let's break that down a little bit. In terms of being curious, please seek things out. If you're worried about what are different careers involved, then there is a lot of information out there for the curious. And if you want to read up on this, then please do. But again, don't feel like you have to just go with what's written on the internet. You can obviously seek out individuals who are already going down the same path that you wish to pursue. Now, if you want to look into that, then there's obviously the chance to attend workshops. There's a chance to go to networking events to pursue this. But really, we just want you to flex your curious muscles and find different ways in which to dig out this information. You don't have to rely on somebody presenting it to you. Often the things which you are most engaged in, the ones which you feel most passionate about, they're the ones which you'll put the most effort into pursuing. So please don't be afraid to seek out this information. Do be connected. In terms of expanding your network, we've got a whole bit on this towards the end of this session in terms of how to expand your network, why it's important. So I'm not going to dwell on it too much here, but just sharing what you're looking for, letting people know that you're looking, makes a huge difference. And there's different ways you can do this. We've already said, LinkedIn is a great resource. There's sessions running on how to make the most of LinkedIn next week, for example. And we run this on a regular basis. You'll already find videos to this on the LinkedIn section of our website under applications and interviews there. So do make the most of that as a resource. I guess seek out those you wouldn't normally talk to. Go to the odd careers event for a different career direction, just to find out what it's like. If there are ways in which you can expand your horizons, it will just allow you to just get a better appreciation for what could the difference be. What is the path less traveled for somebody from your degree background? Finally, be courageous. Do challenge yourself. Do try something new. And I'm not thinking here particularly of attending networking events, but just building your skills, adding to your CV as you go through this year, next year, seeking out opportunities to just make the most of your time at Manchester. And this could be as simple as joining a society. That's fine. That's a great starting point. But what I'd also suggest is look for things which you maybe never done before. Look for things where you thought, wow, that sounds interesting, but I simply don't have time for it. Now, obviously, you've got to make some time perhaps, but be courageous. Find something which maybe takes you out of your comfort zone as a way to take your skills in new directions. If you're interested in things like sports, like music, then there's plenty of opportunities to explore that. You may already be doing that. that's great. In which case, take it up a level this year. See whether there's things you can do to help organize that society, that organization. Give them your help. There's nothing a society or a sports team likes more than somebody prepared to stand up and say, yeah, do you want some extra hands with that? I may not be a committee member yet, but I'm still prepared to help out. Please be that person. Learn from your mistakes as well. Don't be afraid to make mistakes, as this is how we learn. Particularly as scientists, engineers, it's the process that you go through in which to improve what you're trying to achieve. So make sure that that you learn from this stuff. Make sure that you bounce back, but do not be afraid to try new things because you might fail. That's part of the fun. That's easy for me to say, of course. Now, how is this going to help you out? How is this going to make you, I suppose, more employable? Well, you don't have to take our word for it. We can look a little bit at what's on the mind of some of the employers out there, these various employers which I say engage with us. What precisely are they looking for? Now, there's different data which you can draw from for this. One of the ones we've used recently is from the World Economic Forum, and they publish their Future of Jobs reports every couple of years. And they look at both what are employers looking for right now. They also try to forecast, how are things going to change in the years to come. So this is a bit of a roundup of some of the most commonly requested skills when it comes to job descriptions, to internship descriptions, the kind of things which you're going to be contending with when it comes to making applications in the next 12 months. So there are various things here which I think you will easily take away from your degree, such things as analytical thinking, problem solving, analysis. These are all just a standard part of your degree process, and as long as you remember to do so, they are things which you can highlight in your applications. You're able to say that, yeah, my degree gives me a level of numerate skill. It makes me comfortable with data handling. It's the analysis of material which comes off my experiments, which comes off the workshops I attend. This is all stuff which you can specify when discussing your degree, be that in your CV or somewhere else. There's other things in here as well that are requested, things like emotional intelligence, the ability to engage with others. There's things here like creativity, originality, initiative. Now, your degree may foster these things, but you may have to explore them for yourself. But these are all things which come up on a regular basis when it comes to some of the employers you may wish to apply to. How is that going to change, though, and how has that already started to change in the wake of the global pandemic that has taken place in 2020? And looking ahead to the next few years, there was a feeling that analytical thinking still remains top of that list, but there are others there that have started to work their way up as well, and others which have come in as a completely new entry. The one I'm looking at specifically is technology, design, programming. Anything which you can highlight again from your degree, from your experience, which makes you, I guess, more comfortable with technology is well worth doing. And if you happen to be savvy with programming languages, then do mention that as part of your IT skills section. Wherever you can call out where you've used it, where you've applied that skill, that's fantastic. Please keep doing that as you go through your applications. But there are things like active learning, finding a way up this list. That creativity, once again, is becoming more popular as something which employers want you to have ready, something you can hit the ground running with when you go to work for them. So if you want to look at this as a short list of things which you can start building up, then please look no further than this. So with that in mind, a quick poll, please, just to ask you, how confident do you currently feel? We've kind of laid out some of the things you may need to have in mind as you go through the next 12 months, but I'm now interested to know, how happy do you feel about where this is going, and where you might be able to get started with some of these things? There's a poll just gone up on screen, and if you're able just to give us some of your thoughts on this. It's usually quite a quick process. We've now had, I think, 40% of you already voted, 50%. That's fantastic. Thank you very much. We'll close the vote when we get to about 80% or so. We're now around about 70, 75. It's about a 60-40 split between those who are not particularly confident and those who are reasonably confident about their future employability and where to look for resources. So thank you for taking part in that. We will revisit this as we go through, once we get towards the end of this session. What I hope is some of the other resources that we're going to present to you will maybe swing that balance slightly more in our favor in terms of your level of confidence in how you're going to go through this year. So then, we're going to press ahead. And I mentioned before the opportunity to build your CV as you go through this year. And that's one of the key things we hope that you're going to do. Now, it's important to be aware that there are different ways in which you can do this. And there's two principal routes which we're going to get into, one of which you may know very well, and another which I hope will present maybe a few more ideas, things which you might not have thought to explore. Now, the first is what you might think of as the formal route, the thing which most people imagine when they consider, okay, like workplace experience. How do I build this? Now, the three things up on screen there. The summer internship. Now, I should point out, first of all, that the word internship doesn't make it special. It is just the term which has kind of been attached to that thing you do in the summer as like a formal opportunity to get experience with a company. It doesn't have to be called an internship. If you get offered work experience, if you get offered work shadowing or some other means of just getting into a company to build up some experience, do not say no simply because it's not called an internship. It's just become a popular buzzword, and we will just by default tend to refer to summer experience as an internship, but don't feel like it has to have that tag. But there's lots of ways you can acquire this. I'll present various resources in a second where you can go looking for this. But we advertise a lot of these on Careers Link. We have a filter specifically for them, and a lot of companies offer them. They consider it one of the best ways for you to get just to get familiar with what they do, to get a flavor for what the work is like, the workplace environment. Now, obviously, that's somewhat of a virtual workplace environment just now, but that will return to normal, we hope, as this year goes on. There's other aspects to this as well, and the placement year. Now, placements, again, we tend to use that word quite a lot, and some companies will use placement to refer to their summer internships as well. It can get slightly confusing, but in general, the word placement is used to refer to a year spent with that company. Be that, some call it professional placement, some refer to it as the year in industry, others still refer to it as a sandwich year. If you come across that expression, it's the same thing. A sandwich year is how it was historically referred to in the UK, as something sandwiched into the middle of your degree. But all of these are different ways of referring to that 1 year, 12 months spent within a company as part of your degree to build up your experience. Now, if you're going to go for this, please throw yourself into it. They're certainly competitive, as are most forms of work experience, but there's no real substitute for that 12 months spent immersed in a company, and it will look great on your CV when you come out the other end. It can be an interview process as well. Both the placement and the summer internship can be a way to show your worth and to remind companies what you've got to offer them. So you can get offered full-time employment at the end of one of these things. This can be one of the big draws, and a lot of companies use them as an extended interview process. The third thing on that list, you may not necessarily have heard of, but insight weeks or insight opportunities tend to be shorter roles. They tend to be during the spring weeks, during that spring break, as a way to just get a quick insight into what does a company do. They're offered often to first-year students, but also to those who are not yet in their final or penultimate year of study. So you may have to just self-select as to whether this applies to you. But do go looking for them. We have a separate section on our jobs and experience pages within the Careers Service website all about Insight Weeks and how you can find them. And there's even some offered in Manchester around the university over the spring break as well. So do keep an eye out for them. They're a good way to get something on your CV. It may not be quite as formal, quite as responsible as doing something like a summer internship, but it's another means of finding yourself just that little bit of awareness, commercial awareness, if you will, of what different industries get up to. That's the formal route. That is, I guess, how you can build up your workplace experience in the most formal setting, but there's other ways to go about this. Now, this we refer to as the portfolio route. It is all the other things you can do which are going to improve your employability, your standing with these different companies. And there's a lot of different facets to that, and some of them we've already touched upon. I've mentioned societies, clubs, sports teams. Sport is a remarkably popular option because it showcases a lot of useful skills for the workplace. Things like discipline, teamworking, leadership, potentially, depending on what kind of role you have. So if you're involved with sports teams, again, sort of musical ensembles, this sort of thing, there's a level of dedication required of those that will go down extremely well. But if there's other societies you're involved with, again, make sure they're on your CV. It may be a slightly more casual engagement at this point, but it's something which you can turn into something more, I guess, something more responsible as time goes by. If you've got a part-time job, that too has a place in your applications. It may not be page one material, it might not be directly related to the kind of work you want to go on to do, but it's still evidence that you are prepared to work during your degree, that you're prepared to earn your own money. So part-time jobs do have a place. Likewise, volunteering. The fact that you're prepared to give of your own time without reward, it's a good way to get out into the community. It's a good way to, again, to find something to challenge you, to take you in different directions. And again, just the word volunteering as a section title speaks volumes about you. So make sure it has a place in your CV. There's various things you can get involved with around the university as well. Now, things like peer mentoring or being a past leader, this is stuff you can be involved with this year. Now, if you have not had the chance to do it yet, then you can still contact the peer mentoring central resource at Manchester just to see what else you can do. But things like being a student rep, being a student ambassador, being a STEM ambassador, if you want to get outside the university, then outreach in general as a way to support your degree, to promote your degree, just to promote your subject as well. These are all good things to highlight. And likewise, we'd said before about, if you've got a side gig, if there's something which you are just dedicating some time towards, if you're plowing resources into building up your own product, something you've been working on for years that you're not quite ready to unleash on the world yet, then that's something which could eventually find its way into your CV. If you've got your own website where you're looking to build this stuff up, obviously do not compromise your intellectual property in order to do this. But when you're ready to show people, then yeah, that belongs on your CV as well. So there's lots of ways you can engage with this. There's lots of ways you could build your experience this year, and do consider both of these routes. Let's go to the formal route for a second. I mentioned before that Careers Link is one of the best places to look for some of this stuff. But yes, Careers Link and indeed the Career Service website. We advertise a lot of roles, something like 10,000 graduate jobs, placements, internships every year find their way through Careers Link. So please don't feel like there's only a handful of things in there. Likewise, events. If there are things where opportunities to engage with employers, we run around about 700 events every year. So there's a lot to be had there. So please click through or scan that QR code on screen if you wish right now. Going outside of the university resources, then places like GradCracker or Just Engineers, very well geared towards your degree area. There's more general resources like Prospects, Target Jobs, Rate My Placement. You may have heard of all of these things, but then LinkedIn as well. We keep coming back to that, but as a way to find opportunities, either through your own networking or just using their job search function. That you can set a filter there for work experience opportunities as well. So don't be afraid to use it. Let's look to the portfolio route for a second. The Students' Union website as a chance to find opportunities within societies. Also, in terms of becoming student rep, you'll find all of that stuff there. The peer support website has their own portal as well. Likewise, the volunteering hub. If you want to just explore what's available in the Manchester area for volunteering, you'll find all of it there. And let's just return for a second to the Masood Entrepreneurship Centre. Now, they have a number of resources. They run events on a regular basis to try and help you get to grips with what's out there in the way of support. Now, this can be things like local incubators, local startup funds, ways to help you either expand your ideas or help you just with some of the initial costs of starting a business. There's also means of, again, networking, of talking to people who've already done this, some who are still students and some who are already out there trying to promote their own products. So if you want to gain advice from those who've already been down this route, then look to the Masood Entrepreneurship Centre. There's also a group on campus called Accelerate Me, who helped to promote this as well. So I'd suggest you seek out both of those resources. Now, as we've said before, you don't just have to take it from us. I'm now going to flick to a quick video from one of our engineering graduates who will take you through, I guess, some of her experiences in second year and beyond, and maybe how that's helped her to craft her graduate career. So there we have it. It does not have to be purely down to the advice of careers consultants or indeed employers that you'll meet around the place. It does come from different sources as well. So now just going to return to slides on screen, and I'm going to hand the mic over to Penny at this point to take us forward through ideas for networking.
Thank you very much, Ben. So yes, I'm just going to spend probably about 10 minutes or so just talking about networking, because it is actually really, really important, particularly for you as undergraduates, and especially for those who are looking at placement year opportunities, internships, and any sort of employability experience. So, I mean, what I would say is the word networking can make people feel quite anxious. They worry about having to kind of speak to people or approach complete strangers, and they worry about how they will do that. So it can cause some anxiety in people. However, there are some really nice strategies, simple strategies that we can share with you to help you develop your network. So I'm just going to sort of talk through some of those today. So do you need to network? The answer is absolutely yes. Network is all about making connections and forming and building relationships. And it's not just talking about yourself, asking people, what they're interested in, how they got to where they are in their role or their point in their career can provide you with really useful information. So think of it more of as a kind of information exchange. We actually do it all the time. So when you're speaking to peers or family or friends, you're making recommendations for the cinema or whatever's on Netflix or whatever you're watching at the moment. So you do strike up these relationships, these networks all the time. But I think when people think of it in a professional sense, they get quite worried and anxious. So we want to try and give you some tips today on how you might manage that. I think just sort of think about why it's important. It can open doors, it can lead to opportunities. So one of our graduates very recently, he had reached out to a local company where he contacted quite a few local companies through LinkedIn and managed to get a week's work experience in a sector that he was really interested in. So using platforms such as LinkedIn can actually provide those opportunities as well. But he did that through establishing a network. In terms of where to start, so I think the key thing is to start off by introducing yourself. At the moment, a lot of networking events tend to be online. There's not much opportunity, I would say, at the moment to do sort of face-to-face networking. But hopefully once we're through the sort of lockdown and we're in some sort of normal again, I'm sure there will be opportunities for you to actually physically meet people face-to-face. And when in those circumstances, do make sure you're polite, professional, you shake hands, you have eye contact, try and be as confident and positive as you can be. When you do meet people, whether that's online or face-to-face, it's important to try and have a sort of what we call an elevator pitch prepared. So a kind of a statement about you, about what you're interested in, stuff that you've done within your course that you found really interesting, any extracurricular activities or positions of responsibility that you've held. So if you kind of get a sense of what you might want to say to someone, and you can prepare that to some extent, and I don't mean a formal kind of statement, but you've got points of discussion to share with someone, and that can actually ease that conversation, because you're not going to be sort of thinking completely on the spot. If they ask you a question like, what do you like about your degree, you'll have thought about that already and sort of have a bit of a semi-prepared answer. I think the other thing to do is when you do connect with people, and we'll talk a little bit more about LinkedIn in a moment. So hopefully today, you will connect with Ben and I. We are both on LinkedIn, as is Helen Frost, the other consultant for FSE. So you can get those connections and also ask for introductions. So a really good tip I would suggest is, if you are thinking about a placement year, if you can seek out students that have just returned from a placement year and speak to them about their experiences, but also perhaps ask them for introductions to their company, to the manager perhaps that they were managed by or supervised by. So you can ask for kind of connections to other people and recommendations. And of course, those people might be able to support you with opportunities. So, your network is really important. And in terms of also when you're speaking to people, it's really good to ask for advice. People, I find, are very, very forthcoming, quite helpful, and particularly alumni. If you reached out to alumni, again via somewhere like LinkedIn or My Manchester Network, and asked for advice, so if you're at a point where you've made lots of applications and you sort of keep getting rejected, you could potentially reach out to some of those contacts and just say, look, I'm in this position. Has anyone got any advice that they're willing to share, or any tips? Or I've got an interview at a particular company. Would you be willing to share, your experience? What did they ask you? So just asking for that support. And I think you will find that most people are generally quite helpful and willing to support you with advice and networking. So just moving on, yeah, thank you, Ben. In terms of where can you get connected and where can you build your network, there are opportunities to meet employers, which Ben mentioned before. So we have multiple employer events taking place this semester and next. So they are typically lunchtime events or sort of evening events where you can log in and either speak directly to employers, or employers where they're doing workshops. They might talk you through an application process at their company. So it's a great way to kind of reach out and connect with employers. We just literally had the virtual career fairs last week. So we had the Finance, Business and Management Fair, the STEM Fair, and also the Law Fair. So hopefully some people on this call will have attended that and networked with some of those employers. And it's really important, if you have met any employers already, to connect with them afterwards. So don't just speak to them at these events, but follow it up with, a connection request, and then also a message, something like, it was really great to meet you at the STEM Fair. I hope you, would be willing to connect and maybe share further sort of advice. So you're putting that kind of invitation out there to them to connect with you as well. The online employer events, Ben pointed out earlier, these are all listed on our events page. So please do keep an eye on that. There's lots of stuff going on. As Ben mentioned, we have over 700 events that take place throughout the academic year, so plenty of choice. Meet the Professionals is something that we've run for a while now. So this is typically alumni who will join us on a webinar. So panelists who will talk about a whole range of things. So last week I actually chaired a couple of Meet the Professionals. One was around placement year and alumni that had undertaken placements as part of their degree, and also one with employers who are recruiting placement students. Now, both of those sessions were recorded. They're available on the Career Service YouTube channel. So if you miss those, please feel free to have a look at those. But the Meet the Professional events are a really great opportunity for you to directly ask employers questions. So if there's things about, the company you want to find out that they're working at, if you want to find out about the kind of stages of recruitment, if you want to find out about career development once you're in a company. So it's a really great way to connect and also build your network. And again, all the panelists are usually on LinkedIn and usually very happy for you to connect with them as well. So it's definitely worth checking that out. And it's a really easy way to build your network. Just moving on. We have got some social media, so we've got all the QR codes there for you to kind of check out. We do post lots of our events on there, our activities when we've had particular employers in, and we do have some really big names that work with us, as well as a really good range of SMEs, so small and medium-sized enterprises. So that information there is usually shared through our social media channels. So I think just the final point there about your network is really to try and make an effort. Even if you just spend 5-10 minutes a day connecting with people on LinkedIn or reaching out to people on your course or your academics. So just make sure that you start building your network. And of course, try and follow some companies on LinkedIn as well. My colleague Ben and Suzanne, they ran a session last week actually around LinkedIn and how to build your network. So again, that's available on the YouTube channel, the Career Service YouTube channel. So Ben and I have given you a lot of information today, lots of ideas. Hopefully some of you are feeling inspired about what you can do next. What we want to now do is kind of have a bit of a temperature check and see how you're feeling now that you've had all this information and these ideas. And of course, that advice from Lucy as well, which I think is really helpful. She's been there, she's done it. So let's see how you're feeling at the moment. So if you would be kind enough just to pick one of those options in terms of how you're feeling now at the end of the session, that would be great. Just give you a few seconds to do that. Okay, so we're at about 70%. I'm just going to give it another few seconds. If we can try and get up to about 80%, that would be great. So if you just pick one of those options, if you're feeling very confident now, reasonably, not particularly confident, not confident at all, or just not sure. And what I would say, no matter what your choice, this isn't the end of the support and the kind of contact that you have with Ben and I and Helen. We are here, we're here to support you. So please don't feel, you know, if you are in a position where you're not feeling confident that this is it, you know, you can reach out to us and we're happy to help. So I think we'll close the poll there. We've got a reasonable response there, and I can see that we've had a definite improvement in terms of the number of people feeling very confident. That's really great. And our reasonably confident figure has gone up as well. So that's really positive. And then 14% are still saying I'm not particularly confident. And as I said before, please don't worry, this isn't the end of the support. You know, we are around, we're contactable. Connect with us on LinkedIn. We all have appointments available on Careers Link. So if you do want to book a one-to-one with us, please feel that you can do that through the Careers Link system. So we've definitely seen a shift there in terms of confidence. That's really positive. Thank you so much. Okay, and then just a couple of final points before we finish off. Aspire. So on Blackboard, there is a very brief questionnaire that we'd like you to complete. And this is, again, a bit of a temperature check, sort of how you're feeling about your career and your future. So if you would be kind enough to complete that survey for us, it's very brief indeed. I think there's literally 3 or 4 questions. So probably 5 or 10 minutes of your time, if you could take the opportunity to do that, that would be really helpful. And what we do with that, we look at our service then and see how we want to shape it in terms of your needs. So we do use your responses to think about, you know, the kind of workshops we want to deliver and the kind of needs that you have as undergraduates. So please do complete that. And then finally, I think we've just got a few minutes for some questions. So I'm just going to have a look at the questions box now, and then we'll probably look at wrapping up the session. I don't think we've had any submitted as yet, but what I would say is when we ran this session last week, a couple of students were asking about placements and internships, so sort of work opportunities and when to apply. So what I would say to that in response to that is if you are thinking about a placement year or summer internship, so that, you know, that structured route, that the formal route that Ben mentioned before, or the insight weeks, these are being advertised now. Okay, so if you are looking to sort of pursue that formal route, you really need to be looking at those resources that Ben highlighted, so Careers Link, Grad Cracker, etc. So please check out those resources and apply for those opportunities. If you haven't already got a CV, it's definitely worth you creating one. You can get some feedback on your CV. We do have applications advisors who typically deliver 20-minute appointments, so that is available to you. But before you book that appointment, I would say try and use the resources on the Career Service website. There's some really good structured advice there, advising you how to best present your CV. So if you're thinking about internships, placements, insight weeks, they are being advertised right now. I would say in addition to that, it's not just up until Christmas. Most of the bigger companies are recruiting now, but certainly in the sort of second semester and even going into early part of the third, you might still find opportunities around, but they probably won't be in the volume that they're at the moment. So I guess the key message is there to, you know, apply now if you're interested. Ben, is there anything you wanted to add?
No, I think we will close there. So thank you all for attending. And as I said, please do pass on the recording to those who may also benefit from these messages. But no, really, there's been no questions submitted, so we will close out the session by just reiterating, please be curious, please be connected, please be courageous, and please seek us out. If you would like our support with any of this stuff, then we really hope we've laid out the best way to engage with us. So thanks very much, and we hope to see you and to help you with some of this stuff in the near future.